It gives me extraordinary pleasure to now invite Sadhguru to join the biggest financial or the biggest webinar of India to share his insights as to in this time of crisis, how should one really come out as a winner? Sadhguru, we are extremely honored to have you on this webinar. Everybody has been looking for your guidance. Sadhguru, medical experts are calling it the biggest crisis in last 100 years. Economists are saying this is the biggest recession in last 100 years. Everybody is getting affected. The crisis is big for some, it is small for some, but it is crisis for all. How can one emerge as a winner in this time of crisis?
See, these are challenging times, no question about that. For individuals, for small businesses, big businesses, institutions, nations, for everybody, it is a challenging time. So it's during challenging times that human beings have to be at their best because the world demands your best. But a whole lot of people get into this mode of fear, anxiety, tension, depressions, frustrations. This essentially means when you are required to be at your best, like a tiger appears in front of you, that's when you need your legs, but your legs will collapse at that time, your legs become rubber. This is just like that. So when there is a situation which is challenging us, this is the time human beings have to be at their best. Anyway, all of us got 6 weeks break. We should have all made ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, energy-wise, in every way, little better than what we were 6 weeks ago, because what the world that we are stepping out into in the next few weeks is going to be, I would not like to say hard, but for sure, very, very challenging for every one of us, without exception. As you said, for some it is life-threatening, for some it is different, but we must first appreciate that after 6 weeks, when over 350,000 people have died around the world, you and me are still alive, that's a success. So that's a first success, we're still alive. Now that we are alive, the next thing is family, economy, variety of things that we need to handle, our responsibilities for people around us. Well, conducting all this gracefully is the most important thing. For this, it is most important a human being should be well equipped within himself or herself. Right now, we have taken to this mode, everywhere it's being propagated or projected like this, on the television, in the movies, everywhere it's being projected like this. When there is a challenging situation, you must freak, you must throw things around. You know, this is becoming the way of all the movies and television shows. This is something we need to change. When things are difficult, we must be at our best. For this, as there is technology, science and technology to create external well-being, there is a whole science and technology to create inner well-being. Every one of us should make use of this, especially in this country, where this is the USP of this nation, how to keep your interiority. This is the fundamental nature of our culture. Unfortunately, many have moved away. I hope at least in these difficult times, everybody will come back and understand human experience is determined from within, not from outside.
Sadhguru, we've got millions of people who are watching this on different forums, Facebook, Twitter, and even on the webinar. A lot of them are associated with financial markets, who understand how to track the balance sheet, but perhaps do not know how to track the inner happiness, which you've always said. What do you think this experience will teach us? You always said past lives in our mind, it is time to move forward.
No, as human beings, we are who we are only because of the vivid memories that we carry. So, compared to any other creature, our sense of memory is far more vivid and intricate. This is one of our greatest blessings. Unfortunately, we use this to suffer. Most human beings are suffering. What happened 10 years ago, they can still suffer. What may happen day after tomorrow, they're already suffering. So memory and imagination, which is a unique capability in a human being compared to any other creature, unfortunately we have turned our own faculties against us. We may call this by many names, We may call this stress, anxiety, depression, frustration, whatever you want to call it. There are 72 exotic names for this. But essentially, we have turned our own intelligence against us. We need to take charge of this, it's very important. Those of you who are in financial markets, I don't think you are new to, unpredictable situations. This is just one more for you. You've gotten into the financial market because you enjoy the thrill of riding unpredictable situations. When you ride it better than somebody else, you are a big success. When you fail to do that, you are not. I'm not trying to belittle the situation. The situation is quite serious, there's no question about it. But this is the situation we are in. As a generation of people, shall we come out successfully or not? Coming out successfully means what? Can we fix everything in the world? Maybe not, but we don't have to make this into a major suffering. We just have to see how to be resilient, how to be strong, how to ride this wave. When I say ride this wave, you know, there are wave riders, there are surfers who go into the ocean. Well, the bigger the wave, the more they enjoy it. Actually, the dream of a surfer is a tsunami. He would like to ride a tsunami, 100-foot wave, that is what he would like to ride. So here it is for us. For our generation, this is a tsunami, but a soft tsunami. People are comparing this to World War II. That is because they read World War II only in the books, they don't know what it is. Well, at least now you're working from home. If there was a world war, you would have no home, you would have rubble all over the place, all right? So, this is a bad situation, no question about it. This is a hard situation, but war is a different matter. For us, this nation has faced 4 wars, but all the wars were fought by our brave soldiers on the borders. Never the war came into the city. Only in Mumbai a few years ago, you know, just 10 soldiers from elsewhere, they came, if you can call them soldiers or whatever, they created havoc. Just an army of 10 people, just see how much havoc. Can you imagine when there's a real war in a city, what happens? So we have not really seen a war. Fortunately, our soldiers have stopped it at the borders. So it's important for us to understand, yes, it is a difficult situation, but at the same time, there are tremendous opportunities in this difficult situation. When economic engine is running, anything is successfully running, we don't feel like fixing it. Right now, it's kind of stopped. This is the best time to fix it, rejig it, redirect it, whatever we need to do. As a nation, even compared to Asian nations, we are about 25 to 30 years behind them for whatever reasons. I don't want to dissect that or postmortem of what has happened. But we are 25, 30 years behind. This is our best opportunity to catch up in the next 3 to 5 years' time. We can… if we do the right things, we can catch up with all the other nations, which is very important. India deserves this, India needs to do this, because 500 to 600 million people are living very badly in this country. We need to do the right things right now, and we have a better opportunity than ever before. Unfortunately, lives are being lost, we need to minimize that.
When the Prime Minister took the decision of locking down India, it obviously came at an economic cost, but it has been a medical success. So one has to weigh the medical success versus the loss of the economy. Do you think the decision, which was a hard decision for anyone to take, and Prime Minister Modi when he took it, now we should really understand the motive behind it? It's been a resounding success on the medical front.
See, only if we are alive, money markets matter to us, okay? Dead people don't care a damn what's happening in your stock market or money market. So, staying alive is most important, so that was definitely the first decision to take. But now, how much cost are you willing to pay to save lives? That is a judicious, cruel decision we have to take. Right now, we are easing the lockdown. Is it the right thing to do? Well, there is no right thing here. Anyway, this is going to cost more lives, for sure. But if all of us behave responsibly, we can minimize that. But can we stay under lockdown for good? Definitely not, because if you ruin the country's economy, then you will wonder, why are you alive? That will also happen to us. So this is a judicious decision. It can never be a perfect decision. Nobody can make a perfect decision. It's a judicious, calculated risk that you are taking. This is the only way forward. I don't think anybody has a perfect decision, because first of all the scientists and the doctors in the world still have not even figured out exactly what is the nature of this virus. We still do not know. We do not know how it's going to play out. So suppose it plays out for 12 months, for 24 months, are we going to stay under lockdown? We cannot. So right now, government is thinking of, calibrated way of getting back into action. But this, how successful this will be will simply depend on how responsible all the citizens of this nation will be.
The virus has also made some divides of graduate and migrant laborers. It has also exposed the divide between rich and poor. So virus in a sense has divided a lot of us. Individually, for those who are currently part of the webinar, what can they do individually to build the nation? What role do you think individually all of us should play?
It is not because of the virus, the divide is always there. Well-to-do did not see the divide. The poor always see the divide. Those who are not well-to-do always see the divide. Those who are well-to-do, they will not see the divide because they are on the better half. So right now, maybe it is coming out stark because it's on the television screens about their hardship, but I'm telling you, every day that hardship is there, whether they walk back home or not. Even otherwise, living in the city is most, dehumanizing. On the streets, in the slums, it is not even… the conditions are not fit for a human being, that's how they're living on a daily basis. Now they want to go back concerned about their families, but this whole thing, we can always, give commentaries in hindsight, we can give commentaries, but the real thing, the way it unfolded was, see, right now after 6-7 weeks of lockdown, now they're going back. Now when we want to restart the economy, they were going back. They should have gone 6 weeks ago and come back by now, actually. But that was not possible because we did not know how long the lockdown is. Initially, we thought it's 15 days, then we thought it's another 21 days, then we thought it's more, and now it's becoming little more. So this could not be decided one shot, how long to close down the country. So you could not accommodate them going back home. This going back home, it is their right to go back home because they want to go back to their families, because most of the migrant labor are male. That means their female counterparts, their wives, their mothers, their children are elsewhere. So they definitely want to go back and see what's happening to them. It is a very human thing to do. But at the same time, I feel we are also… different segment of the society is also instigating this, creating fear in them that, you will die in the cities, this will happen, that will happen. I think if… I see, right now, WhatsApp brings a rule, you can do only one forward, you can do this, you can do that. I'm saying this is all happening because certain people are taking pleasure in creating confusion and havoc in people's minds. This is very unfortunate. It should not be controlled, it just has to be… little sense has to blossom in every human being. When there is such a difficult situation, when people are going through so much hardship, if you're taking pleasure in planting confusion in everybody's mind, it's most unfortunate.
Sadhguru, wars and crises have also changed the social fabric of the society. Geopolitical wars, they tend to spring up. In this crisis or in this medical crisis, every country has got affected. Do you think the geopolitical and the social fabric of big countries could change whenever things will settle down?
See, to change geopolitics in today's world is not like early 20th century, how you just immediately declare a war and go. Today it's not like that. That if any forceful change of geopolitics needs to happen, it needs to happen with enormous judiciousness, it's not like before. If you just look back where they start the wars, they always started wars in places where nations were quite helpless, kind of nations. You don't go and start a war with a very powerful nation. So, changing geopolitics through military force is a remote possibility if you ask me. But changing geopolitics through economic instruments is very much possible. I think that's definitely coming, for sure. That is definitely coming.
Sadhguru, a lot of people are… perhaps they seek your guidance in terms of, is this an eye-opener for all of us that our immunity levels are low and need to work on inner engineering, yoga and immunity boosting things?
Oh, 100%. If you don't get it now, when will you get it? This is 100%. See, right now, with a little bit of care, I'm saying this part of Tamil Nadu, where our volunteers are out in the rural areas and managing, in these 2 months, not a single case. Here inside the ashram, we are nearly 3,000 people, not a single case. Because one thing is our immunity levels are very high. Today, we have a conference with about six very prominent doctors from Harvard, Stanford and other areas. So one reason that they are having this conference is because certain studies have showed by doing these practices, in engineering practices, the immunity levels have gone up so significantly, the markers, the blood markers are showing this. So that is the main reason why they wish to have this conversation. Very easily we can enhance the immunity levels. We have already put out the Simha Kriya for those who are not introduced to any practice, that is good. But I would say this is a good time. Inner engineering is available online. There are no big practices on that. Even that simple thing of 7 powerful sessions if you do, you will see there will be a significant change, not only in your immunity levels, also your ability to handle it, your thought and emotion, how you will handle extraneous situations in your life. This can be greatly altered with just a little bit of investment. I hope people will make use of this. Right now, for all the COVID warriors, we are offering this free of cost, and for everybody around the world, we have brought it down by 50%, not trying to market it more. It is just that we want to bring the threshold down so that everybody can have it very easily, because there are costs to delivering these programs.
People also on the webinar want to know that how can they associate with the Isha Foundation? They are running multiple of programs. You made an appeal earlier. So in case somebody wants to join Isha Foundation in terms of the food work and the other things they're doing, how can they do that?
There is a site called Isha Outreach. That is the branch of Isha which is functioning in the rural areas. And food, unfortunately, has become a big requirement in rural areas. I was shocked to see how many people are not able to provide themselves with basic nourishment, with a simple dislocation that today they cannot go to work, so they have no food to eat. How many thousands are there in just this region is a shocking reality. I knew there are a lot of poor people, but I didn't think that they cannot sustain more than 3 to 4 days without labor. They're just gone. So right now, our volunteers are servicing them as much as possible. Possibly in the next month, by the time monsoon comes, agricultural activity will pick up and they will get labor and they will stand on their own feet. But at least for the next month, month and a half, we need everybody's support.
A question coming from somebody very senior from the Birla group. Sadhguru has always traveled the world 360, out of 365 days, Sadhguru has been on his feet for more than 300 days. How has this lockdown experience changed Sadhguru?
For the first time in the last 40 years, I've stayed home for more than 40 days. It's never happened in one stretch. So, I'm becoming a full-time painter. I had never painted anything really, of any value really. But I had painted many pictures in my mind, never really on the canvas. So, I'm painting a lot of poetry and we are reorganizing or rejigging the whole foundation. Right now, many of our people are here, those who deliver these programs around the world, they're all here. So we are completely reorganizing, turning the foundation upside down for a different level of function. So, for me personally, 40 years I've lived out of a suitcase. Now I'm living out of cupboards, which feels very, very good.
So, Sadhguru, we are talking about misery, distress, slowdown in economy. Every time I interact with Isha volunteers, and especially some of them I've personally interacted with during this crisis, they're always on their feet. They're always out to helping each other. What is the secret sauce here? What keeps an Isha volunteer always motivated, good time, bad time? What is the secret behind this energy?
See, it is like asking, let us say, you're driving one junk ancient machine. Let's say, I don't want to name a brand because that won't be nice. Let's say you're driving an old Bedford, I can talk about a Bedford because it's no more in production. Bedford had a Indian version also. So you're driving one of those old Morris cars, cut, it'll go. But suddenly you got a BMW. Do you find a huge difference how easily and effortlessly it moves? So why is that so? Simply because it's well engineered, that's all. So this is what inner engineering means, to make sure every human being is well engineered so that no matter what is the situation, you learn to function at your best in a very smooth and graceful manner.
And just two more follow-up questions, Sadhguru. You've always communicated to all of us that one should not worry about fear because fear lives in mind. But this question keeps on coming up every time, we interact with you, from people who want to understand from you. The fear is back, and the fear this time is real. How can one overcome?
No, fear is not back. Most people are creating almost every day. Going to work, they are fearful, coming back, they are fearful, everything they are fearful. Fear essentially means that you have no control over one faculty called imagination. You imagine things which are yet to happen. So, when you try to live a tomorrow today, naturally it'll go crazy. One way of living a tomorrow today is you fantasize wonderful things for yourself. But it can easily go wrong. If you start living in your imagination, imagination can easily go wrong. Imagination is good as a way to project like a plan and see how to execute it in real life. But if you start living the imagination, fear is a natural consequence. There is no other way. It may be pleasurable to start with, but after some time it will become fearful, your paranoia will come into you. All it takes is a little prod from the situation. Right now, when so many people around the world are dying, you're alive, should you be fearful or joyful, tell me?
One final question. Historians, they divide the world in AC and BC, AD and BC. Would Sadhguru like to divide the world now, pre-COVID and post-COVID?
Well, in Indian way of looking at things, we have no AC, BC, nothing actually, because our education system has succumbed to the Western ways. We are doing BC, AC and all this stuff. Otherwise, in India, we look at the time as a cyclical process, it's repeating itself in many ways. There is no linear measurement of time because time is cyclical. You know time only because the planet spins. One rotation is a day, moon goes around is a month, planet goes around the sun, it's a year. So everything is rotational, it's going round. Going round means there is no beginning and end to it, it just keeps going round. So we never measure time in a linear fashion and say AC, BC, whatever else it is. So especially I would not want to give a damn virus that kind of significance in my life. My life is not AC/BC and it should not be so for anybody. Yes, it is a difficult time. We need to… I'm sure as human beings, we are innovative enough, ingenious enough to come out of this very well, particularly in India.
I'm going to use my anchor chair power to ask one more question, perhaps as a parent, as a lot of people who've got children. And they say, how can we teach our children that they can use the time at home because schools are not there? And what about screen time? A lot of parents want to know this, that how can they make the best of the time with the children when they are at home?
See, screen per se is not bad, it is all about what is playing on the screen. So if you are watching some lousy soap operas, your children will watch their own kind of stuff. So you can very easily create a time where I think it's a good time. See, adults should not think only children need to be educated, it's a very wrong idea. I think adults need far more education than children. At least children have their basic common sense, adults have even lost that. So, you can very easily create a home situation when you are not migrant labor, carrying a desperate condition and carrying a child in the hot sun. Fortunately for you, that is not there. Now you're complaining about screen time and this time and that time. Please let's have lot of screen time, but let it be something that educates you and the child. There is a whole lot of material available. Education does not mean ABC, 1+2, chemistry, physics, that's all. Well, there are biographies, there is history, there are many things about the world, science and the works, which you must watch with the children. Okay, educational things you watch, I will watch soap opera. It's not going to work like that.
Well, Sadhguru, even though we don't have your presence, but last 30 minutes of screen time, I can tell you that it's been full of all of us.
See, your boy is gone. He doesn't want to watch me.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
Namaskaram.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.